are.
I just hear you like losing your shit back there.
Mind your business.
Alright, so, our elf boys go on a journey. So, taking, at the rate you guys were going, probably been later in the afternoon before you even set out. So you gotta, unless you guys want to like push through the night, it's gonna probably only be a couple hours of travel before you'll have to camp.
The delayed response.
Don't camp, keep going. Who needs sleep? You just slept for 3 days. Or however many days it was.
Nah, that was a while ago.
No. That was good enough.
So are you, the elf boys, are you guys going to try and like push longer, or just when it gets dark camp for that evening?
I mean,
Given the context of our friends potentially being executed, the longer this takes, I think push on.
yeah, and technically it's not hella dark around me, right?
For like a very near proximity.
Well, yeah, but that means it's not so dark, so it's fine.
Good enough that you can make sure you don't trip on something.
Yeah, like I can see where I'm
Enough that all
going.
the predators can see exactly where we are.
Yeah.
Okay. So both of you make me Constitution saves. Okay.
Hey.
You push on another hour, handling it pretty well. It is dark. You are right. The immediate area around Cal isn't pitch black, but it's still definitely difficult to make your way through woods. The mostly pitch dark.
Does Finale not do the light thing, or does he not get that because he's half?
He is only a half elf.
Okay. Wah wah.
I get all the benefits of not belonging anywhere in the world with none of the drawbacks of glowing in the dark.
Awful lot of half-breeds around here.
Yeah, those tend to be popular in D&D for some reason.
Yeah.
Everybody knows what it's like to not feel like they belong, so.
Fact.
Alright, so if pushing on again for another hour, make me another con save.
Oof.
Okay.
I think I'll go ahead and do a favored by the gods since I haven't used that today. It's a natural one anyway, but
Alright, what will that bring the... So 9, okay. So at this point, you guys have been pushing to about 2 in the morning. It is, you're in the middle of the woods, just the two of you. Late at night, you've been trying, given the seriousness of the situation, to push as long as you can. Both of you take a point of exhaustion, as at this point you are starting to run a little ragged. It's also, you're beginning to run into the issue of are you going to get a full night's rest?
well, do you want to camp here?
Yeah, I think that would be smart.
Getting to the point where if we did get into a fight with any of the wildlife, we'd probably just get ourselves killed.
Okay, so you guys settle down for the evening, you, well, I was gonna say you don't have enough people to do watches, but are you gonna do the dome again, Nazar?
Yeah, I'll burn a couple of spell slots to get my third back and cast it again. Because I don't think sorcerers even get ritual casting now that I think about it.
Okay, so you cast it one more time, converting your energy, and you guys are able to get your night's rest under the protective magical sphere of Leomin's tiny hut.
Are we 5 feet apart because we're not gay?
Social distancing.
I mean, how much social distancing can there be in a tiny hut?
I think it's 10 foot by 10 foot, right?
Oh, hell yeah!
I believe so, yeah.
It's there's some snuggling.
10-foot radius, so it's 20 feet around.
Okay, so you could be at most 20 feet from him.
Okay, yeah, then we're not gay.
No homo.
Yeah, did you make sure you dual casted no homo with that? It's a 5th level spell. I don't know if you know it yet.
Not yet, unfortunately.
Okay, so you guys sleep for the evening. Back at the newly minted grove, how are the Zoans doing?
I'm not a Zoan.
I'm speaking out of character, Richter.
Mitty would have built them a fire and told them to at least stay in the cave. Just so that, they can't be snuck up upon and they have a place to run to in case shit goes down. But Mitty is not going to leave the tree.
Alrighty.
Mish will have started a small fire just to keep warm.
2 fires.
Yeah.
Well, she probably just added it to, just to the intensity of it.
Alrighty. Conry,
Hmm?
you feeling fine? You have anything you want to say to anyone or anything you want to do?
Connor's just kind of vibing. Like, he's so lost right now. He has no idea what the hell's going on.
I mean, that
What
makes
has
sense.
happened since he woke up.
To be fair, Mish doesn't really have an idea what's going on either, other than this thing was important. God is, for whatever reason, deciding to fuck with Mitty, and, she's just gonna stay here and watch what happens.
No, not God. Godza.
Godzilla.
Or
Godzilla.
life in general.
So yeah, Connor's kind of sitting around quietly, trying to just kind of come to terms with everything that's happened, and he's probably also, based on people's reactions to things that have happened, trying to keep an eye or an ear out in case anything's approaching.
Just imagine Connery sitting there like a happy puppy, just ignorant to the ongoings of everything.
Yeah.
Okay, make me a perception check, Juju.
Where's that? I've got too many windows open.
It's like bottomish left of your character sheet, I think.
Oh, since we're essentially resting, can we count this as a short rest?
Yeah, you can have short rested and you'll be able to long rest here in just a minute. Okay, 21. That was really good. You try and listen throughout the night, at least until you go to bed. And over the next hour or so, while you guys are still awake, or, well, you guys stayed behind a bit, so, this is later in the evening. But so you've had the later afternoon to be awkward with each other. But as you're listening out, now that it's grown dark and you're trying to just get a vibe for anything that might be dangerous out there. You don't sense other creatures or anyone approaching. You do hear a lot more distant now, but every 5 to 10 minutes, just a low rumble of thunder.
But nothing too concerning.
Nope. I mean, everything's a little weird to Connery, given that you've never camped before.
Yeah, this is all very new. And
There's all kinds of fun noises and textures and stuff that I'm sure he's getting used to.
I don't know why you
Textures?
saying the word textures just conjured an image of Connery trying to lick the tree.
He's never seen a tree before that wasn't frozen.
He's never seen a tree before. Is it edible? He doesn't know.
Go back down and touch the cobwebs too.
Maybe some
Alright,
grass
that-
while you're there.
I already did that. I was all wrapped up in them. They're very comfortable.
Gotta get that digestion work.
I need fiber in my diet.
That cellulose is good.
You are sitting in the grove, Mitty, correct?
Yeah.
So you're just kind of sitting there, maybe leaning against one of the other trees, eyes locked to this open invitation that you are doing your best to ignore.
Deep contemplations.
You don't notice it at first, given how deeply you're contemplating, but around the time you start to feel the drag of sleep and you kind of maybe shift in place to avoid nodding off, your hand brushes across the grass beneath you and comes back cold and wet.
Is it raining?
It is not.
Mitty will look where his hand was and try and figure out where the source of water is.
Yeah, you have some illumination. It's a little bit of a cryptic view for some of the others because wisps come out of the trees here every so often. There's almost always at least one out moving around that they do cast some illumination. You look down and the grass for about just 2 feet or so around from you is white and frosted over.
He'll speak quietly. Is that your winter? Are you here too?
You don't get a response.
Mitty will kind of lay back into the grass and say, getting tired. I end up seeing things.
Alright, so that's how your group passes the night. I imagine you kind of individually drift off when your eyes close and fail you.
Yeah.
The next day, it takes Cal and Vinali only until the mid-morning. You slept in a little later, going closer to noon. Given how late you stayed out, if you want your full 8 hours. So you guys can long rest and remove your exhaustion, 1 rank of it that you had. But around getting closer to noon, you guys come into sight to the south of you. You come towards that kind of general downward sloping of the land where, resting up against the mountainside of part of the mountains that make up the cradle, you see the tent city and fabric divisions of the Hasari down beneath you.
Well, let's press onward. Hopefully it shouldn't be too difficult to find Nola.
Yeah, let's hope not.
You guys make your way down into the city with the familiar, almost overwhelming vocal pressure of hundreds of merchants shouting and hawking their wares, and people haggling and bargaining in the middle of the city street, as the city is nothing but market stalls set up out of the back of wagons or quick makeshift throw up affairs of a few sticks and canvas. You get a little ways in one of the entrances when some of the worst of the foot traffic begins to part in front of you guys in the street, in this main thoroughfare. And as sort of the congestion clears, you see the once seen before palanquin covered in silk sheets being borne by 4 half cat folk that is coming down the street and approaching you.
Oh, fuck. So not to have to explain what happened to our previous host.
The palanquins brought before you, you see a number of the magi, these sort of unarmored catfolk, some half, some full, with the Zoan rune ascribed to a sash they wear over like their left shoulder, behind it, kind of forming a division behind the palanquin to separate it from the rest of the crowd. The assistants to the head pull back the silk and help Jasper Whitepaw out of her carriage and help her to shakily, awkwardly stand up. Juju, this is a fairly elegant, middle 20s, early 30s maybe, catfolk woman with black silky hair, like fur covering every inch of her body, except for her paws, like the front hands go white. She is missing her feet from the calf down on both of her legs, so her attendants go under like each of her. They put one of her arms on each of their shoulders and help her stand, like they are physically sort of carrying, supporting her. But she does her best to like kind of stand straight and put like her stumps against the ground and kind of try and put some weight onto them to make it look like she's not entirely relying on her retainers to stand before you. She will say to the 2 elves who were kind of caught in the middle of the street here by her, "Well, it is good to see you finally returned to us. Mages have been tracking the emerald for the better part of a few weeks now, and it's a good thing that you finally made it."
Vinali just kind of turns and looks at Cal.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm not able to lie. Right?
Correct.
The emerald? Okay. Yeah, that was mayhaps not my smartest decision.
Not a very bright move, no, but it provided a certain amount of entertainment for my court.
What can I say? My fingers are kind of sticky.
It has been somewhat entertaining to get the daily update on where exactly your party has been traveling hither to and from, and admittedly a bit mysterious when it disappeared off the face of this plane for a time.
Yeah, that emerald's probably the most well-traveled gem you'll see in the rest of your life, because it has gone to hell.
Well, it will be excellent to have it back in my collection then, so I can admire it.
Absolutely, ma'am.
She'll kind of smile at you, and definitely in that very pleased cat kind of way, as I'm sure you're aware of.
Smug cat.
Smug cat.
But she'll also look at the two of you, kind of sizing you up as well, Vinali. Well, I certainly hope that something has simply delayed your other party members.
Something definitely has. We came back here to speak with Nola and bring her back with us to meet with the others.
She'll sort of nod at that, and you can see that your conversation is drawing some attention from the surrounding passerbys, but maybe not as much attention as you'd almost expect the head of the town stopping in the middle of the street would. Some people are still determinedly kind of going around her to do their business.
Do you really
But-
have to park that in the middle of the street?
Exactly. She will say, well, allow my escort to take you back to my pavilion, and I think you'll find her waiting for you. She was, most beside herself with worry over your party the last week or so.
Well, we don't have the gladdest of tidings, but hopefully our safe return will be some small comfort.
She'll just kind of hold your gaze for a few minutes as you say that, and you don't sense judgment, but she's just kind of digesting that news, and she'll do a quick nod and say, well, they will show you the way. And over the course of a few minutes, her attendants very gingerly and reverently lower her back into the palanquin before they'll hoist it back up, and you in tow, the retinue will return to the two-story red and purple silked pavilion where the same male catfolk attendant will just come out of the door without saying anything, the box of gems held in his hand, lid open. He'll just hold it out to you, Cal.
Alright, deposit that one and steal a different one.
I don't think he'll be quite that ballsy today. He'll hand back the emerald.
As soon as you put it back into the container, the attendant sort of like, with a bit of like hostility, like snaps the lid shut on it and like takes it back into the pavilion, but also you feel a strange weight lifted off your shoulders, and you feel like you could tell as many fibs as you wanted to now.
I wasn't even aware that I had felt any different. So now I'm like, oh God, what had it done to me?
Just imagine Cal's like, Jim, what Jim? Fuck, it's too late.
Oh, damn it!
Hmm?
Inside, you are shown back to the second floor where um, there's a bit of a delay where you're kind of um, held in the foyer talking to people as they're kind of like making some small conversation before when you're finally allowed back up. Jaspa has been allowed to take her seat at her dais with her 4 half cat folk attendants behind her, sort of just blending into the back of the room. And you see in the chamber, Nola is kind of impatiently rocking, like cross-legged, seemingly not able to entirely sit still. And as she sees you, she just kind of springs up and says, "Oh, I'm so glad you're back." And she just runs and kind of takes Cal's hands and does that like kind of bounce in place thing.
Aw. Reginald's gonna be
Well, we
joking.
are safely back.
She looks around. Well, where is everyone? I didn't think anything bad had happened. She looks back at White Paw. They said that your party made it out okay.
Yes, we did all make it out okay. Unfortunately, well, there's no easy way to say this, so I'll rip the band-aid off. We were not successful in rescuing the Grove Tender.
You see her face kind of saddened, but not surprised, as she'll nod and say, "Yeah, it's okay. It was honestly, it was unrealistic to think that anything could. I'm sure you tried your best."
Well, if it's any consolation, she died helping us to close the rift.
You see Jaspa kind of perk up at that and say, from her station over there, "Oh, so there was a rift after all that the old creepy crawlies hadn't gotten to."
Oh, Cal wasn't joking when she said that. When he said that Jem had been to hell.
Well, I'll be honest. I thought you had been barking up the wrong tree when you came here. I guess all's well that ends well for your contractors. I'm sure.
Well, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But first, Nola, there is something that Midi would like for you to see, but we need to bring you to him.
She'll kind of turn her head at that. Okay. Is he in the city or?
No, he's back at the Grove, more or less.
You see her looking a little like more confused. Okay. I'll follow you too. If it's that important.
It's fairly urgent, yes.
You see her turn and briefly sort of exchange looks with Jasper before the older cat folk will kind of lift up and lazily wave a hand at you all to go and say, "Yes, you have permission. Just whatever this errand is, make it quickly and get your group the hell out of the cradle."
As soon as is conveniently possible, I assure you.
Nola will take your hands, Cal, and begin to walk with you down out of the pavilion back towards the first floor. As you turn to go, Vinali, Jasper will pipe up and say,
Yes?
I hope you haven't forgotten that you all gave that girl hope, and that you all are the reason it's been dashed.
Well, the hope is not entirely lost in this. The Grove Tender is temporarily gone? It's a long, complicated issue.
She just kind of sigh and fold her arms under her bust. Well, I am impressed at what you claim to have accomplished, but don't hold it against me, but I really would like to not see any of you all in the hosiery ever again.
That's understandable. As it is, we may have need to go back down there again. Not in the immediate future, but further down the line. But we will try to stay out of your way.
Yeah, she'll kind of quirk her eyebrow at that. Well, it's your funeral, but try not to break any more rules.
Understood.
Understood, and we have failed.
Fail step 1.
Okay, you guys.
Finale is definitely going with the less said the better approach to what's currently going on in the Grove.
Which, for now, it seems to be working as far as White Paw is concerned.
Banking on the hope that reports haven't gotten that far that quickly yet.
As you turn and leave, letting the sheer kind of silk curtain drop back over the door, you see one of the half-cat attendants come up with this really large, like long smoking pipe that he just gives to Jasper and begins to light, and that's the last you see of the head of the hosiery before you disappear down into the first floor, join with your companions, and begin to retrace your steps.
All right.
Back at the Grove, Mish and Connery, you two come to wake probably a little sore from sleeping in the mouth of a cave.
Yeah.
Meh.
The fire has burned out, but it is a nice sunny morning once again. It's warmer than it has been for a while down in the subterranean tunnels.
You know, when we finally get out of here and stop being stuck in tunnels, I'm actually not going to complain so hard when we have to go outside.
You get up and stretch and start to move around and look out at sort of the elephant in the room, this grove that has taken shape, like can't be more than like tens of feet from this entrance into the Underdark, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And you see that roughly a quarter to a third of it, to the like sort of left and south side, is frosted over. The trees are encased in several inches of ice. The foliage has gone blue in a startlingly familiar way to those of you that have traversed the Whitewood.
Probably looks a lot nicer with sunlight around it.
Yeah, as the sun catches this crystallization, I mean, it's refracting like mini prisms and rainbows of light just sort of all over the ground.
Where is Mitty?
Good question.
Like, Mish is immediately gonna start looking around. Like, how do you miss a bear? How does a bear his size just go missing like that?
You walk into, or you walk around the grove for a bit. You don't see him. You walk back into the grove, and you find him deep inside, like right at the center of it, sleeping, leaning up against one of the trees that has gone white and frosted. He's not encased in ice. He's just resting up against the tree.
But he's still breathing, right?
Yeah, seems like he's just having a good morning lying.
Conry's gonna go up to him and poke him in the cheek. Was that a snore or a grumble?
Yes.
You poke him again. Tell him to wake up. It's morning time.
No.
It's morning.
No.
Wakey, wakey.
No.
I was just using a stick from this point on.
As soon as he gets poked by the stick, he will immediately wake up, grab the stick, and break it in half with his thumb.
Like, God, it
That-
was
That's your spine next.
Hey, good morning.
morning, son.
Also, don't mind all the snow.
What? And he'll look around. Holy shit!
Yeah.
Good morning, Starshine.
Thought it was just sleep deprivation, but what the hell does this even mean?
I'm
Means-
starting to think that, like, either we're in the world's fastest time loop, or, you really need to talk to her.
I don't know what your obsession with time loops is, but
Okay, time does not normally flow this fast.
what do you mean doesn't normally flow this fast? It's been flowing this way since the dawn of it. I think.
So normally, a storm takes several hours to form. It formed in a few minutes.
You seem to be forgetting of just what exactly. I can't remember her name. The harpy.
Audra.
Audra was capable of.
Yeah, I know, but still.
It's a lot easier for the source of that power to conjure that shit up, so.
Hmm.
Is Audra the one causing the snow?
No.
No,
She's
this
dead.
is someone different.
She's dead.
Yeah, no. I don't know if you saw, but she kind of died.
Well, then why are you bringing up her power if it wasn't her that storm?
I'm just saying that this isn't unusual.
Looking around, you see, as I said, like not quite, but getting close to a third of the inner grove here has been winterized, such that you even see like of the three twirled trunks that form the heart tree. one of them is frosting over. And looking inside, kind of a bit concerned, you still see the staff there, which reassures you for a minute. But you also see that that inner hollow is beginning to fill with ice, and it seems to be, if left alone or left to continue whatever this process is, could potentially encase the staff in crystal.
Biddy is going to.
That's an interesting reaction.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to debate if I really want to do this or not. Fuck it. Mitty will walk up to the part of the tree that is frozen over, and he'll touch it, and he'll see if he can feel winter.
Okay. Give me just a straight wisdom check.
Okay.
Wow.
Oops, I didn't mean to roll that at advantage.
It still was a natural 20. You reach out and touch this frozen part of the tree, and I mean, besides being cold to the touch, you kind of stand there for a minute, kind of trying to focus in and hone on feeling like something deeper than just frost on a trunk. You don't feel winter. You don't feel the something present in what you're touching. What you feel is that as you touch it, the frost creeps up another inch.
I'll kind of look at his hand. I'll look at the others. I'll say, Connor, come here for a second.
What?
Just come here.
Alright. Connor's gonna go over there. Look and what do you...
Just pay attention to the ice real quick.
To the what?
To the ice. That's
Okay.
encasing the tree.
Okay.
Mitty's gonna touch the tree again.
Connor's watching the ice.
Make a perception check.
There it is.
Okay. It's slight. It's kind of barely perceptible because in a way you're literally trying to determine if the grass is growing, right?
Right.
But as he touches this trunk of the tree, you do see the frost creep a couple of centimeters further up, just as he holds his hand there.
Huh. I don't know what to make of that. The ice is growing. Well, the frost is growing. Stop touching it.
Mitty will stop touching it and he'll look at his hand.
It is a normal bear paw, the same as it always has been.
Not a polar bear paw?
Mitty is going to try and rack his brain to see if he understands how if there's any signs or something that the gods may bestow their power on people, if there's signs of that.
the most common example, in this world is of the truly chosen and devout, would be individuals like the Grove Tenders or other clerics that can, work these great acts of magic and miracle, presumably through their chosen deity's will. Um, there are more subtle and more personal blessings that the gods give, but many of them are hard, if not impossible, to see with the eye.
And when he saw... Actually, I don't think Mitty did see Water Soul. Never mind. Yeah, Mitty's just going to keep contemplating for a minute.
And I will say, Mish,
Mm-hmm.
looking around now, inspecting this area, you see, again, blue orbs dance out of the greenery for a brief time before retreating back into the bark. And those are fairly standard. But as you're looking around, you see one of the orbs come up from the bottom of one of the trunks that have been winterized before disappearing back in. And in that brief moment it's there, you kind of have that double sight weird moment where you see something over something else.
Mm-hmm.
And you see a spectral, see-through elven woman kind of just glancing around the grove, admiring how pretty it is before she disappears back into the wood.
Okay. Kind of weird.
What is?
So, you know those soul things that were bouncing about last night?
Yeah.
So, I'm pretty sure you've been able to surmise that these are souls of, former living beings. I
They're the
just
souls
saw
of the
former.
ancients, yes.
I just saw an elven woman, and I'm going to assume she was a former grove tender.
Wait, saw an elven woman?
Yeah.
Maybe will kind of think to himself, I think I understand what's going on here now.
So, is this place just in flux?
No, I think because this is unclaimed, that somehow Winter's able to maybe transfer over some of the souls that she has claimed to.
To this spot?
Yes,
Is Winter trying to claim it?
that's a possibility. Well, I think it's more than a possibility. I think this is what we're seeing right now.
Is that a bad thing?
No. Well, I guess it depends
On?
how the other seasons are going to take it.
Because, really, I'm just seeing flashes of these people, but I'm not really getting the context, you know?
Well, if you saw an elven woman, that's definitely, definitely has to do with Winter.
Yeah, I mean, as you look around, Mish, I mean, if you want to spend, some time, some of the early morning here, continuing to watch, you do see, normal souls. You see different Zoan individuals that belong to this grove. But it wasn't a singular incident. If you sit there and watch, every so often, only the ones that come out of the winterized foliage, you will see male and female, though more female, elven individuals, dark skin, very light hair.
Mm-hmm. Wait, you said these are all elven individuals?
Not all of them, but you do see some throughout.
Okay. And like, are there any Zoan individuals?
Yes, of those that both that you saw last night and that still flitter out through the non-winterized parts of the grove.
Mm-hmm. And are there any that really stand out?
How so?
The elves?
Like anything that like just seems like either they're out of place or like I'm trying to think. Well, one like if they're more elven folk, which according to Mitty that's a substantial revelation in a sense.
Everything that you've picked up and that you could get from Midi if you ask, groves are Zoan only. Like, exclusively Zoan only.
Mm-hmm.
So there being Avari souls mixed in here is not only weird, but like some hard heresy.
That's illegal.
Wait, that's illegal.
So yeah, so Mish would just see like a handful of just elves, right?
Individuals every so often. I mean, you sit there over the course of like an hour and a half, you see like 2 or 3.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well this is a bit odd. So hey, Mitty, Grove Keepers have always been Zoan, right?
Groves are a zone thing. So yes.
So the fact that like there's multiple souls here, not all of them Zoan.
Which would indicate that these have to be Winter's people.
That's still a bit concerning, not gonna lie.
Why do you think that?
Because if I'm imagining this correctly, the other seasons would exclusively stick to one race for their keepers, correct? In this case, Zoans have always been traditionally the Grove Keepers that we know of, right?
Well, the Zoans are the children of the seasons, so yeah.
So, and we know that winter was more or less reviled between the seasons, or amongst the seasons that we know.
From what we can tell, she was murdered by her siblings and their followers.
Do you think it's because of the fact that she accepted everyone?
Well, if what we've learned is to be true, then the Zoans weren't always entirely beast-like. We were shifters.
So you guys spend obviously the better part of the morning and into the afternoon, dealing with this revelation. You'll let me know what you want to do, Mitty. You will find that if you stay in the grove, slowly, but the winterization will continue.
Meaty doesn't see a reason not to stay in the grove and allow that to happen.
Alrighty. As it approaches late evening, the sun has gone down to this point. It's probably like roughly 10 o'clock or so. Eventually, Cal and Vinali will make it back to this place that they left you all with Nola in tow. And they will come upon a grove that, by this point, although it's a matter of percentage points, is more winter than not.
What the hell happened while we were gone?
Nothing good, apparently.
And I suppose that is where we will end session tonight, and we can pick up with some of that hopefully productive conversation next week.
Oh.